Hey everyone, it's Daphne from Scrap and Create, and we are continuing to work on Christmas Time, which is Graphic 45's latest release, and it's a holiday release, obviously. We are on page 3. Page 3 is going to have a large flap and a pocket flap. So let's get started. So we're going to have a large flap that's 6 by 8, and that 6 by 8, you're going to score a 1/2 inch on the 6-inch side. That's the large flap. And actually you're going to need 2 of those. So you're going to have one on the left and one on the right, and they're going to slightly overlap when they're closed. So on the left hand side, another 6 by 8, score 1/2 inch. And then on top of the left hand flap, we're going to place a pocket. And this pocket is 4.5 by 9, 4.5 by 9, and you're going to score a 1/2 inch along 3 of the 4 sides to make your pocket. This pocket is going to get installed on the left hand side of the flap so that it's actually next to the hinge, and it's going to open like so. This flap is going to lay on slightly on top of this flap like so. Okay, and then I'm going to add one more feature that's going to keep everything closed. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start by installing the right hand side flap. I'm dry fitting it really quick. It's just going to get installed right along the edge of excuse me, right along the edge, the right hand edge. Like so. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing on this side. On the left hand side, we're going to install the flap, and then after the flap is installed, we'll add the pocket. And again, both flaps, both left and right flaps are 6, and let me double check. Yes, 6 by 8, and you're going to score a 1/2 inch on the 6-inch side. Okay, and now we have our pocket, and our pocket's going to get installed right along the left hand edge of the flap toward the hinge side. And again, this is page 3. That's Nala in the background, everybody. She's fussing at me because she wants to go for a walk, but it's already 90 degrees outside, so I don't know if I can do that, or actually over 90 degrees outside. You think that's a little too hot? Okay, so there we go. I'm going to put a little contrast in there so you can see that as designed, there's going to be a gap between the pocket and this top flap, and then you're going to have some overlap down here. Okay, so now here's all my papers that I've trimmed out, and I'm going to do some color blocking, and I'm going to make it very simple. This is from the Patterns and Solids, and this strip is 2 inches by 7 7/8, 2 inches by 7 7/8, and it's actually going to be the liner for the pocket. And then to sort of have a cohesive flow of the design, I decided to make 2 additional strips that are 2 inches wide, and they're going to go on each of the flaps like so. So those will be on the inside. So when you open it up, you'll get this look, and then when you open again, you'll get a second strip on, or a third strip on the other side. So that's going to be like so. And then the top pieces, I'm going to use my reindeer here, and I'm going to use this here. This is from Patterns and Solids. This is from the 12 by 12 collection. And then I'm going to use an accent piece because the adjoining page is using this checkered design, so I want to pull that color back in. And it's going to be the flap that holds everything together. But first, let's get these in. Pardon me. I'm going to set these 2 strips aside, and we're going to focus on getting, I want to contrast here so I can see the edge. Getting this pocket liner in, and I do need to do some inking It's very warm here in San Diego, and we have some fires going on, which is not uncommon for this time of year, but makes my allergies go crazy. So I sound congested because I am. Okay, this is one of my traditional design methods where I do 4-page designs and then I repeat them. So this is page 3, so the same flap pocket design will be used on page 6 as well. No, stop it, baby. I need a minute. Lay down. I'm gonna have to probably lay this down and give my fur baby some attention for a little while. She's going crazy because it's so hot. She can't really get outside. So she's going a little stir crazy. Sorry, my glue seems to be a little, it wasn't flowing there. I think I left the cap off too long. Okay, I like to insert this slightly into the pocket. Shh, just a minute, baby. Let me get this in before it dries. Okay, that's in. All right, now I'm gonna remove my contrast sheet. So really what I was looking for is that nice even border right here. And black on black is hard to see for me and you. So I just like to use a contrast. It didn't have to be this designer paper. Could have been anything. And this is the piece that I've cut and planned for the top of the pocket, the pocket flap. I mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again. I'm using a powder puff, and the color I'm using is mahogany. My husband just snuck in and took the dog, so maybe I'll get a little more time than I thought before I have to take a break. It would be nice to get a whole page finished in one sitting. I'm way behind schedule because it's been so hot in my room. It's been hard to sit in here. So hopefully you guys are excited to see the new collection and the new album. I want to welcome all our new subscribers and thank all of you guys for really getting our name out there. Last month was our all-time record for new subscribers to our channel, and I really want to thank you guys for that. I'm sure it's because there's only a couple of reasons. One, you're either sharing or you're liking and leaving comments, and that is pushing us up toward the top of recommendations in YouTube. So keep up the good work. It really does help us a lot. The more people that see our tutorials, the more of them come on over to the shop and do some shopping. It's not a requirement. Our tutorials are free no matter whether you shop with us or not. But we do ask that you at least give us a shot if you're in the United States. And we are always welcoming our international customers who like to watch us. We know you can't shop with us, but if you could take a minute, like, and share our tutorials, you know, that helps us here in the United States as well. So I also want to remind you, or not remind you, but reassure you, if you start a project with us, you'll be able to finish it. Our tutorials are free. They will always be free, and they will always be available on YouTube. The only reason they wouldn't be is if YouTube does something. We have no intentions of taking any of our tutorials offline. So if you see it there, you'll always be able to finish your project. You may not be able to find the paper, but you'll always be able to finish the flap designs. We won't take that down. I know that's a concern for some people. You don't want to start something and then not be able to finish it because the channel goes away or the content on the channel changes. That's not happening here. We really view our YouTube channel as an opportunity to promote our shop. We're not trying to make, you know, revenue off of the tutorials themselves. We do monetize our channel, and that essentially gives us enough flexibility to actually pay for our projects. So if you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel, it's not that hard to do, but don't start it thinking that you're going to make any real money off of it. We make, you know, a couple $100s a month, and that just pays for the paper that you're seeing in front of you. It helps us promote the products, and that's it. I think there's ways to make YouTube, but I haven't found them. So, okay, that's that. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Okay, so I'm not going to lay these down yet because I haven't finished pulling together all the paper for the B-side, the base, and the B-side flaps. But, ooh, I like that too. That's not what I was planning. I was planning this. But now I'm looking at it and I like this. So here's the last piece. I'm going to use one of the ephemera cards, and I made a card for it. And so basically I just trimmed this down based on the ephemera card. And I can tell you what it is, but I strongly recommend you measure it because even the ephemera card can vary slightly. So it turns out that it's 8 1/4, actually just under 8 1/4. It's like 8 3/16 and by 6. So I would do 8 1/4 by 6 and split it in half, and then I would lay your ephemera card on it, which is what I always do, and then trim it down, you know, to fit perfectly. So again, I use a 1/16 inch border. If you want to use a larger border, you're going to toss all those measurements out the window and come up with your own. So I'm planning on placing this like so, and I'm going to show you my original design. It was this way, and I may go back to it. Centering this ephemera card on this panel, excuse me, and then I was going to use this checkered because it's on the opposing page. It's on page 2. This is page 3, and I was going to attach it to the back of the ephemera card so that it's basically this is actually going to be a flap attached to this flap, or an extension attached to the flap, so the whole ephemera card would come up. So I'm trying to think about how I want that to look. So that's what I'm thinking. And then you would lift this flap, and then the whole thing would come with it. So that's the current plan. I want to think about how I want to attach it. So I think what I'll do first is I'll go ahead and put together this ephemera card. I think I want to put a magnet here. Okay, I'm thinking about where my magnet, I'm going to have a magnet here. And a magnet here. Okay, and that's what's going to hold everything closed. And because the reason I designed it this way is I wanted that flap to extend underneath this top flap to keep it closed. Okay, now we're going to look at it the other way real quick. We're going to look at it this way, and then we're going to make a decision. If I do it this way, oh no, I can't, because this is a pocket. This is a pocket, so I definitely want it under here. So if I've got something in the pocket, this will still close. So we're not gonna switch it. We're gonna stick with the original plan. I had to think that through out loud. I was working on this last night and I had to re-educate myself this morning. So it's gonna go like so. So let's go ahead, given that, and let's put this together because I know what I want here. I'm stalling because I'm trying to decide if I really want my magnet under here. And I think I do. I think I do. Okay. And then this is going to be on the back side. Okay, that's what I want. But it doesn't have to be, it can be over on the edge. Yeah. Okay. Now, why am I putting it on top? I never put it on top. Well, the reason I'm putting it on top right now is I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to line the inside. So by putting it on top, I have the option of leaving the inside front panel black. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not. So this way I have that option. So I am planning on using 2 ephemera cards. So this is the same ephemera card, and this is just the inside, and it's going to go here. So I am planning to do that. So you're going to place a magnet on the back side of this, and that's going to hold this closed. And then this whole thing is going to get glued down like so. Now I just need to think about it. So this is page 3, which is going to be on the right hand side. I'm just got to think about how I want this card to open, if I want it to open that way or if I want it to open this way. I don't think it really, I think I want it this way, which is the typical way it would open. Okay, let's burnish this. Let's get the cards inside and out, and then we'll place it on here. And I've already inked it. I'm gonna set this aside because I think I'm drifting outside of frame. All right. I've already inked the edges. And if you're not using ephemera cards, or if you didn't buy the ephemera cards, of course you could just use a coordinating piece of cardstock. The designer cardstock. It doesn't have to be the ephemera card, but I like the way this turned out. I like to feature the ephemera cards. They're pretty. So I like to do that. Okay, so now once I glued that down, I see that this border is wider than this border, so I still can, because it's not attached to the book, trim a little bit off, and I'm going to do that. Be careful because it's easy to over trim. Okay, that's it. Now we can do the inside, which is this side. And I've also inked this too. So the top is the front and the inside is the B side of the ephemera card, which is perfect for journaling. But you could also lay a picture on it too, if you wanted to, or you could do journaling on this side and put a photo on this side. The journaling cards are roughly 4 by 6, so it's perfect for a photo. Okay, now I have the option to either cover this or not, because the magnet's not on this side. Okay, I'm gonna pull my page back in. It's gonna go like so. But before I place this, I'm going to go ahead and attach this designer element, which is going to be the arm that extends to this flap. So let's go ahead and ink it and get this put together. This little square is 4 by 4, 4 by 4. And it's just arbitrary. I had a piece of scrap and it wound up working. It could be thinner, but it, you know, it just needs to, the important thing is it needs to reach from this card to this panel. It could be narrower. I don't really think it should be wider because you don't want to take away from the ephemera card itself, but it could be narrower. It could be 3 inches. That would work too. I wouldn't recommend 2 inches because I don't think 2 inches is going to be rigid enough to hold the structure. So 3 inches would work. But like I said, I don't think I'd go any smaller, because you have to worry about that collapsing when you're opening it. So you want to make sure it's nice and rigid. Now I'm only doing one side of designer paper and cardstock right now, and that's what's going to go on the top side. But when you open it, I'm going to add a second piece of cardstock just to increase the rigidity. Oh, had a hard time getting that out. And I've already got that cut 4 by 4. And that's what I think I'm going to do. Okay, now visually we want to determine how far onto the page we want, or how far into the ephemera card we want to go. So this is going to be centered. Like so. Okay, I think that looks good. I'm gonna put it on top so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, I think I'm gonna come in a couple of rows, and I'll tell you what it is after I get it installed. I'll tell you what my measurement was. So I'm centering the ephemera card top to bottom. So I'm going to use my grid. That's 4 inches, so I should have an inch on top and an inch on the bottom. Roughly, and that's close enough. I'll lay that down. Okay. Good, good. So that's there. And I just thought of something. This magnet doesn't go here. It should have gone here, but I'm going to put it on the flip side. So I did that backwards. Shoot. I was thinking that this was going to be stationary and this is going to move, but it's the other way around. This is going to be stationary and this is going to pick up. Oh, I do need that magnet. Okay, sorry. We do need it. We're going to have 3 magnets. We will need 3 magnets. We're going to cover the back side of this, so don't worry about how that looks. It's going to go like so. Now this side is going to get attached to this flap. So we're going to go ahead and glue this side down. And I'm just trying to visually decide how far down we need to add glue. And let me look at that real quick. So wrong side. So about 2 inches. 2 inches from this corner to here is what we're going to do for glue. So I'm just going to use my ruler real quick so I don't glue past my 2-inch line. I'm actually going to go up 1 3/4 and go down. Okay. Now we're going to center it. I'm just eyeballing all of this. Don't lay this side down, you're not ready. Center your ephemera card on this panel. Okay, now we're going to glue that down. Okay, good, good, good. Now when you open it, oh, that's not going to work the way I thought it would. Okay, hang tight. All right, I just noticed that I did something wrong. It's still going to be okay, but it's not what I visualized. I should have taken more time with my layout. So the idea was this becomes an extension of this flap, like so, to open it up. But what I forgot is that this flap overlaps it. So when you go to open it, it's actually going to pull open this flap. And that's okay. It's just not what I had originally planned. But it also makes using this pocket difficult. So really, it should have gone the other way around. This should have been laying over here. And then when you opened it, it would expose your pocket. So that's very disappointing. I'm trying to decide what to do about it. Okay, everybody, I figured out what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna leave all this in. So hopefully you guys are watching before you start gluing things down. And I'm gonna actually run a banner at the bottom, but I wanna show you how I solved this problem. Because it's the kind of problem that makes you feel like you might need to throw your page away, but I didn't, and I'm going to show you what I did. So here's my original design. I glued this to the back of the card and this to this flap. And then I went to open it and I realized it actually needs to open to the right first. So I lifted this off, which destroyed this paper. And this paper actually is going to wind up being exposed. And that's why you might feel like you need to throw this away. But I can't bring myself to throw it away. I already used this beautiful piece of paper. I've already got this in here. I just can't do it. So I had one of 2 options. I needed to figure out how to get this covered up, or I could remove this whole flap and start over. And then I would have wasted this piece of red paper. So I can remove the flap and start over, or I can glue this on top like so. and then reinstall this. Now I know that this needs to be adhered to this page, not this page. So I did it backwards. Now the back of this is going to get covered anyway. So I need to put a magnet here and under here. And then when I open this whole flap, this will come, and then I need to cover the back of this. So those are the two options. And I'm thinking about right now, if I take this panel off, all I'm really losing is this 2-inch red strip. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna save this, and basically I'm gonna, I know this is lost because I tore it, right? But I can go ahead and remove this panel, and then really all I need to replace here is the red piece, because I already have this. I already trimmed that off. So that's my plan. I'm gonna go ahead and lift this off, replace it, and then really what we're out is this piece of cardstock that it took to make the pocket in this, and these two pieces. So that's my plan. I'm gonna use undo, and like I said, I'm leaving this all in here because there's always a solution. It may not be ideal, but I really didn't like the way the page was opening and closing, so I decided that it's worth losing this little bit of cardstock and those two pieces of designer paper. So I'm going to rebuild this flap, and when I come back, it'll be added to the book, so you won't have to watch me do that again. There was nothing wrong with the way I built it. It was the issue with how I laid in the designer paper. So and you can see how I'm lifting this with the undo and my spatula. That stuff is like miracle. So I'm going to take this off, give it a few minutes to dry, reinstall it, and when I come back, we will add those designer pieces. Okay? Hey everyone, it's Daphne and I'm back. And so when I last left you, I was going to add this page back in, which I've done. And so now we're back to kind of ground zero, so to speak. So I trimmed out this piece of paper because I did lose this. So I lost the black cardstock and this piece of paper. I did remove this off the back of the ephemera card, and it turns out I didn't really need to do that. I did need to remove it from here, but I didn't really need to move it from here. So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. So this is, I've got a couple of options. I can either lay it in like this and everything's going to be fixed here, and then we'll open like that, or I can tuck this piece underneath that panel and have it reach over like this. And so those are the two options. And I'm kind of liking this. This was my original design, but it was this way because I thought it was all going to open that way. And why can't I do that? Well, the reason we can't do that is because this flap is underneath this flap. So the right flap has to open first. Otherwise you get this sort of thing happening. And then that gets further complicated if you've got anything in the pocket that is longer than the pocket, as you can see. So really the right hand side has to operate first. So lesson learned, and I left all that in there because I really want to show you guys that you can work around or resolve any issues. So now I'm back to trying to figure out if I want this green to lay over top like so, or if I want it tucked behind. And I'm going to pull in page 2 for a quick minute, just to see how it's going to look when I completely spread it open. So that is the look. That's one look. That's the other look. And this is, by the way, going to be like this. So I'm trying to pull that checker pattern back in, and I think I'm liking it this way where it's a little bit more subtle. So that's the plan now. Okay. So that means I can go ahead and glue down this card, which is going to open, but it's just going to be completely adhered to this cover. And then this flap is going to get attached to the inside of the B side of the right hand flap. Wow, that was a lot. Sorry guys. Okay, and I do have a magnet here, and the magnet isn't holding the flap closed, it's holding the card closed. Okay, so hopefully that's not too confusing. I am going to run a banner at the very beginning of this video, and I'm just saying that to remind myself. for you guys to watch and before you start building the page, so you don't make the same, you can actually avoid the mistake. But I did want to leave it in here just to show, you know, if you're doing something on your own, and if you give yourself a few minutes, you can usually creatively overcome anything, right? Okay, so that's done. So then the next thing is this is going to get adhered like so, and it's going to flap over to this. And because I know it's going to go in this way, I'm going to leave this. This is what I tore off that page. Remember, it was on this side. It's going to get lined with that second 4x4, so I'm not really worried how it looks. What I'm trying to decide is, when I attach it here, am I going to cover this whole panel? Or do I, this is the current plan, do I want it to look like that, or do I want it to look like this and then put something else here? Because then it could be actually a photo mount. I think I'm going to lean this way because this is what the original design called for, these two strips on either end of the flaps. Of course, the alternative could be that these strips go here instead of on the outside edges. But you can see there's sort of a trickle-down effect when you have to redesign something, but you can overcome it. Okay, so I am going to, I don't have to make this decision right now. I can attach it and then decide if this is gonna be covered with the red strip or not. So let's go ahead. So this is gonna be centered like so. And I really only need enough overlap just to make it visually pleasing and to hide a magnet. So we're gonna use two magnets here. One is gonna go on the checkerboard and one is gonna go underneath this panel. So let's go ahead and we're going to start by adding this, and I'm trying to get a visual on where it's going to stop. Okay, that looks good. So I'm going to draw myself a little cheat mark to see where I'm stopping. So this much of it's going to be glued down. And I'm going to use the pattern on the paper to help me. Okay, and that is going to go behind here. And I'm going to do it this way because I'm trying to eyeball centering it. That looks about right. Okay, let's press that all into place. There we go. Okay, there. Now I've got this to cover this back if I need to, and if I don't, then I might just put designer paper right on top of this to cover. I'm just taking the white backing off to cover, if I can, what's exposed. You know, I don't think I can. So because the white paper comes down to the edge, I won't get my nice black border. So I am going to go ahead and put this in. Two reasons. One, to cover that, and the other reason is it'll make this whole thing more rigid. So I'm going to try to peel off this little bit without tearing the cardstock, if I can. It feels like it might be loose. And if not, I'm going to hit it with a black marker and we're going to cover it up. It doesn't feel like I can get it. So I'm going to hit it with a black marker. Okay, that's all you need. And then we're going to add this. And the reason I hit it with the black marker is because if you looked at the side, you'd see that little bit of trace white, but it's covered now. Okay, now I'm going to see which way it fits best. Well, it looks like it fits best here. Okay, so now we're going to add this, and like I said, if I hadn't torn the paper, it wouldn't be necessary, but I don't mind doing it because it's just going to make this part of the panel that much more rigid. that's okay because we're gonna have paper to cover that. Okay, now we still need a magnet here. That's gonna go like this. So I think the magnet will go, I think that's gonna work. Okay. Like so. Right about here. Okay. Now we'll find the opposite side and then we can get back on track with decorating. Okay, so we have solved our problem, or I have solved my problem. I'm hoping you guys watched the video and didn't run into the same issues and did it the correct way the first time. And I'm gonna have to watch this again myself so I don't make the same mistake on page 6. So that's in. Now we're ready to lay this on. Okay, I'm gonna take this strip out. Okay, let me make sure I inked it. I did. So basically what we lost was a 4x8 piece of designer cardstock and a 2x8 piece of designer cardstock. Card paper, not cardstock, paper, designer paper. And then, you know, 1.5 sheets of 8.5 by 11 black cardstock. So disappointing, but definitely, given the amount of paper that's going into the entire album, it's relatively insignificant. So, okay, but like I said, the important thing is we solved our problem. Or, I mean, I solved my problem. You didn't have a problem, it was me. Okay, so that's gonna open like so, and then this is gonna open like so, and then we can cram whatever we want in that pocket and not have to worry about it getting stuck on the other flap. Okay, I'm gonna push this over. We're gonna go ahead and get these strips in. Then I'm gonna take a break and figure out what the rest of the designer paper is for the inside of this page. Now we're going to do the same thing over here, and this is going to lay over top like so, and then we will have yet, you know, more designer paper here, but it's going to cover the bulk of this. So we still do need to put something on the back of this to cover up the magnet. I just don't know what it's going to be yet. But that's pretty easy peasy. I definitely need a break because my glasses are so dirty that it's blurry. So that's not good. Well, that and my allergies are killing me. Hopefully they get the fire out today. I know that there was a few structures lost, and that's awful. But it seemed like when I was watching the news last night, people had a chance to get out and with their animals, and that's, I'm grateful for that. I'm doing some extra burnishing because there's that extra layer of cardstock behind it. I want to make sure it's grabbing all the way. Okay, there we go. So back on track. Okay, so when I get back, we will work on covering the inside of this designer, page 3. So thanks everybody for hanging in there with me, and hopefully you learned a few things from my mistakes. And again, I'm gonna run a banner so that you guys take the time to watch this before you start building, because if you build it just straight with me, you're going to make some mistakes. Okay, all right, I'll be back soon, guys. Hey everyone, it's Daphne, and I have got all my papers trimmed out now for the B side, page 3. So let's open it up and see what we have. So we're going to use the reindeer over here to cover this little piece. Looks like I still need to trim it. And then I'm going to pull in the same pattern as on the A side, only this is the 8 by 8. So I'm using the 8 by 8 here. And of course this is from the Patterns and Solids, and so are the 2 outside strips. So let's go ahead and get started. This is very straightforward. So we'll get these 4 pieces in, and then page 3 will be done. Stop it, Noah. Sorry about that, guys. She's been kind of a high maintenance because of the weather, so I may have to take a break and talk to her in a minute, but you're going to hear her throughout this tutorial, unfortunately. Trying to decide which way is up and down. I think it's pretty random, so we'll go with this. Okay, let's trim out this last piece. Okay, so let's see how this looks. Looks good, and then I just need to shake a little bit off the edge. Why do I even try? I can't get my fingernails under that. there we go. So that is the end of page 3. Here's a quick walkthrough. I've got a pocket here. I'll put something in it so I don't forget to add something later. And there's our center spread, which is tons of room for photos. So let me remind you, I have to remind myself too. So yeah, these are 5.5 inches wide. So you could easily get a 4x6, which is basically this size photo on both sides. Plus you've got the center layout here. You got a little room to journal something here. It's beautiful. And then of course you've got this beautiful pocket that you can put, you know, whatever you want in. That closes, that's it. So that's page 3, all done. If you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. You'll be notified every time we have new content. Thanks everybody for tuning in. This is Daphne from Scrap and Create.